Hello everybody, today's the last day of my personal Oscar week, and I'm going to go through all of the Best Picture nominees one by one in the single order what I think is the worst to the very, very best. And this is who all I think did the best job, not who is probably going to win. I'm going to say that at the very end. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, this was a very good year for Best Picture nominees. And that said though, there's one movie that I just did not think was very good out of this year's nominees. And even though a lot of people really like this movie, I personally cannot get behind Nebraska at all. To me, it's just very over-sentimental, it's trying to be very artistic, and it's really trying to be an Oscar bait movie for me. And it really wasn't hitting any punches for me. Like, the acting's supposed to be such a great part of this movie, and while there was a couple good scenes, it was really lacking some of that dramatic or that comedic power punches that a lot of these other movies have in the acting category. Technically wise, yeah, there were some really good shots, and the black and white, while I don't quite understand, did make for some good pictures. But to me, the storyline is much too simple, and while that is the thematic point of it all, I just cannot get behind it at all. To me, too many of the characters were unlikable, and the storyline is just, it's blah, you know? You already know what's going to happen at the end. I can appreciate simple storylines, I really can, but to me this was just too simple. There was not enough here to warrant a film. To me it was, I need to stop saying to me, but it was too stretched out. So I'm sorry, Nebraska is my least favorite of the Best Picture nominees this year. 8th place for me, and I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, I already know, but I'm going to have to go with Gravity. A lot of people love Gravity, and it is one of the top 2 on most people's lists, if not number 1. And not to mention the fact that it more than likely is probably going to be one of the ones that fights for the Oscar this year. Why didn't I like it? Gravity is only great because of its visual achievements. And I'm sorry, I cannot get behind a movie that is only great because of the technical side of film. Because as much as I love the technical side of film, you need the story side as well. You need to tell your story with the technicalities. And I'm sorry, this focuses all on technicalities, none on story. The characters, completely forgettable. The acting, blah at best. You knew exactly what was going to happen, exactly how it was going to happen. You probably knew the way the scenes were going to play out. That said, the direction on Gravity was phenomenal. There was so much tenseness in every scene, and the visual effects were just mind-blowing. But I'm sorry, it purely relied on the technical aspects, which I just cannot support over some of these other films. So I'm sorry, Gravity. Innovative filmmaking, you are one of the best. But filmmaking as a whole, I just cannot give it to you. Okay, every film after this I genuinely like. But even though I do like them, to me, Captain Phillips was one of the weakest on this year's list. I liked the movie, and there was a bunch of great things about it. But it only makes number 7 out of this year's nominees. Basically, the acting of Captain Phillips is really good. Brock Abdi in particular was probably my favorite supporting actor this year. So definitely great performances all around. And the tense direction was very good. But the thing that weighed Captain Phillips down was the editing. I could not get behind it. So much of that film was just poor pacing problems. You could have cut out a lot of the film and you would have had a much better movie. It would be tight, it would be compact, and with the same strength to the performances, you would have had a star movie on your hands. But to me, the pacing problems is one of the only things that weighs this film down, because the technical qualities is great, the acting is great, the plot, while simple, sets yourself up for a bunch of good situations. It's just, I'm sorry, the pacing was just completely off. Next place, American Hustle. Acting the movie, as I like to call it. Okay, this is how acting movies should be about. Some movies are just about characters and how they interact and how they work off each other. American Hustle is one of those movies. And it's one of the best examples of those movies. 5 main characters, each of which has, like, they're acted to certain degrees of, like, awesomeness, you know? Like, Jennifer Lawrence was just a complete scene stealer, destroys everyone else. But Amy Adams does a really good job. Bradley Cooper does a really good job. Jeremy Renner does a really good job. Christian Bale does a good job. Not, oh my god, a good job, nonetheless. So, the characters are all interesting. There's all great acting in all of them. The technical aspects, well, a bunch of the directing choices I didn't quite get. There's a lot of them that look really nice. The score was really cool. I love the costuming, I love the hair, I love the makeup. I love the whole look of the film. I love how it acts. To me though, the thing that breaks this film down is the storyline, which is beyond nonsensical. I mean, at first you get it, it's like, okay, these guys are hustlers, they're scamming these guys, and then this guy comes. And then they're like, okay, now we're gonna bring these people, and then they're gonna hustle them, while he's hustling them, and they're doing this, and this, and this. And then it just gets so absurd, I'm just like, I have no idea who's playing who, how they're playing them, why they're doing it. All I know is I'm getting these character interactions that, while entertaining to watch, do not work in a storyline. Okay, you would have had a better time just filming these characters going along their daily lives instead of throwing all this like insane twists and turns that just makes you lose focus on everything. So I'm sorry, American Hustle. Great characters, great look, great direction. Just, I have no idea what your storyline was even about at this point. Number 5, Philomena. This is probably one of the most simple stories this year, but it's a very good one, it's a very touching one. It's what Nebraska should have been trying to go for. Basically, it's about a woman whose son gets not thrown away, but nuns basically take a son and like sell him, and then 50 years later she's trying to find him with the help of a reporter. First of all, 2 really great performances here. Judi Dench plays just the right amount of subtlety and just the right amount of gravitas to make this Philomena character very well-rounded and very entertaining to watch. Steve Coogan, he's more of an audience surrogate than anything, and this is actually a bit of his passion project. And the way he thinks about things and the way his character tackles the things, I can see a lot of people doing. There's a couple scenes towards the end where he's feeling intense anger, and the audience is feeling this intense anger along with him. So it's very good, it's very nice. The storyline, there's a couple twists, and they are a bit sucker punches, like in the heart region, but like, it's a very touching film. The character interactions are very touching. Stylistically, like direction-wise, there's not much to it. I mean, you get good performances out of the 2 main characters, but there's not much more else to it. But when it comes to just a small, light, like sad, good, touching story that like can make it's heartwarming. That's what I'm looking for. When you're looking for a great heartwarming story, Philomena is definitely a great choice. Alright, now we're getting into the really good ones. The ones I was like, yes, these are great. Number 4, Dallas Buyers Club. Matthew McConaughey is a beast. Saying that right now. His performance here as Ron Woodruff was a beast. Jared Leto's performance as Raekwon, beast. Everyone here, they brought their A game when it came to acting. The storyline, definitely one of the best. You take this complete homophobe, sort of redneck, all-American cowboy, give him AIDS, in the time where AIDS was almost only reserved to homosexuals, and make him a drug lord. Whoa, that's just an amazing storyline that McConaughey does great justice to. The writing here, it's strong, very strong dialogue. The direction, great pacing. The story never lingers in one spot for too much. And you really get to like these characters. Everything about this movie really is great. There's no big noticeable flaws in this movie. Like, when it's trying to be funny and happy, it's generally funny and happy. It usually doesn't try to go for that tone, but when it tries to be sad and downtrodden, there really is a sadness in the air, because these characters are likable people. So, very good movie, very good performances, just very good all around. Deciding the top 3 was amazingly difficult for me, because I hold the next 3 films in very, very high esteem. They're definitely 3 of my favorites, not just this year, but maybe of all time. No, but I had to pick 2 over the other, and you know how it works. But number 3, Wolf of Wall Street. Oh my god, this movie is hilarious. I mean, take take this storyline and you could have played it as like this really tense, surprising, drama-ridden sort of strange storyline that really could have like gotten a lot of emotional responses and yada yada yada. Nope, screw that. Make one of the funniest balls-out comedy you will ever see. I mean, every time, the comedic timing, the comedic situations, everything that involves the comedy, the physical comedy in this was amazing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the dialogue, but to me, my favorite scenes are the ones that involve the physical comedy with these characters. They're just so entertaining to watch. The storyline, while a little too long, is like 3 hours of just pure insanity. It's like you go to a carnival. That's Wolf of Wall Street. It's a freaking carnival. You know it's bad for you, and you know it's like really messed up, but you cannot help but look at this because it is so amazing to watch. Just a complete riot. One of the best comedic timings, performances, while also a very huge slicing dice sort of satire on the American business culture. Just like, that's what I like. A comedy that can be amazingly funny while also giving a very strong political message. So, Wolf of Wall Street, by far, one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. Picking between my number 1 and my number 2 is intense, to say the least. I mean, it was bad enough having to cut out Wolf of Wall Street for number 3, but 1 and 2 was such a harsh road. But I'm sorry, number 2 has to go to 12 Years a Slave for me. I love this movie. I really do. This is essential cinema. When people are going to be going back and looking at 2013 as a year of movies, they're going to be like, 12 Years a Slave, that's going to be up there. Like, when they make lists of the top 100 films of all time, I have a feeling that 12 Years a Slave belongs on that list and should never leave that list. It is essential cinema. It's one of those modern classics. Most people's problem with it is how brutal it is. I'm sorry, the whole point, the only thing that makes this movie work is how brutal it is. I know that's a big detractor for a lot of people. No, that is the biggest asset this movie has. Just its cruel, unflinching look on slavery, on this dark period of American history. And they pulled it off with so much gravitas behind it. All the acting, they're mind-blowing. All the cinematography and the score and the technical aspects, they are entrancing. And they take you and they do not let go. The plot, guy goes into slavery, has to stay 12 years as that. A free man, a well-educated man, as a slave. And it is just freaking heart-wrenching, all the stuff that he has to go through. Just beautiful, intelligent, amazing cinema that, in my opinion, is essential viewing for anyone who likes to call themselves a film critic. If 12 Years a Slave was my number 2, that means my number 1 has got to be her. Why did I edge her over 12 Years a Slave? Extremely close, because they are both beautiful, amazing films. Her made me laugh. That's the only reason it's above 12 Years a Slave. Not only did it deliver the sucker punches with the drama, but it made you laugh. It made you experience a romance between a man and his computer, and brought in so many amazing thematic questions. Is it really true love? Like, if it's not with another human being? If it is not true love, are the feelings you're having, does that make them fake? There's so many great philosophical questions that this movie brings up, and it addresses all of them in such great ways. The movie, it's a happy movie, but it's also a sad movie. It's like watching a real-life relationship. There are so many great parts. There's like so many parts where people just want to go, yay, we're happy, we are having a good time. But then there's also the fights in the relationship. The parts where you attack each other. There's parts where you have to say things that should not be said. Very sad, very heart-wrenching. Other than that, the storyline is just amazing. The characters are very relatable and some of the best of the year. The technical aspects, cinematography is freaking beautiful. The music is completely charming. There is not a lot of bad things with this movie. It is just, it's great. It, to me, is the Best Picture nominee of this year. But, of course, it's not probably gonna win. What is gonna win? More than likely 12 Years a Slave. Maybe Gravity. Now, I'm gonna be completely fine with that. 12 Years a Slave was just such an amazing film. If Gravity won, I don't think I'd be as happy, but when it comes to pure technical achievement and innovation for filmmaking, Gravity does an amazing job. No one can complain about that. Well, anyway, like, comment, subscribe, tell me what you want me to do next. I'm done with Oscar week. Making a video every day of the week has been exhausting, especially the week I've had. So anyway, this will probably be the last video you see from me for at least a couple days. So anyway, whatever, have a great day, and yes.